Hey guys, it's time for Bob again. We're here. We are going to be in the book. We're on page 70. I know the online version is a little bit different, but we're going to start with good words, bad words. Is where we're starting. And just as I flip back, like always, to set our mental bookmark, I see full wag, click, car thing. Ah, they're talking about Bob being clicker trained, right? He was telling us about they're trying to get him to go in the car, and we realized that there's probably a really good reason why he doesn't want to go in a car, considering what happened last time. So that's where we kind of were. He still hasn't been in the car. He said still is not doing it. And then I think one of the coolest things that we heard was Julia asked him to go for a walk, and then said, "Let's go see Ivan and Ruby." So I'm excited to see where that goes. All right, so here we go. Good words, bad words. I never met a dog who didn't get a big old grin on his kisser when walk slipped into the conversation. Dogs understand more than you might think. The Nature Channel says we're about as smart as an average human toddler. 2-year-olds. My fuzzy rump. We're a million times brainier than some babbling rugrat. There was a dog on my man's best friend show who supposedly understood like 1,000 human words. Border Collie, I think. Those guys need to switch to decaf. That means they're a little too crazy. The narrator was gushing about this wonder dog. I'm like, well, duh, Brainiac. Of course we understand people. Not everything, mind you. And some of us are more attentive than others. Depends a lot on just how interesting your humans happen to be. Certain words will really cause our ears to perk up. The classics: treat, walk, frisbee, bacon. And don't forget the swear words: vet, bath, fireworks, vacuum cleaner. We always hear those. Clock versus moon. Julie and I wait by the front door while George says goodbye to Sarah. I think maybe the hardest thing for me about being domesticated, a pet, if you insist, is that I can't control my own schedule. If I had my way, I'd hang out with Ivan and Ruby all day, every day. Unfortunately, humans love their clocks. Dogs. We use the sky to tell time, like any sensible creature. Sky says it's dawn, time to eat. It's noon, time to eat. It's afternoon, time to eat. It's dusk, time to eat. It's midnight, time to eat. Point is, it's always time to eat. Dogs have a thing for the moon, too, like wolves and coyotes or other relatives. No calendar for us. Moon looks like a claw. Moon looks like half a pancake. Moon looks like a tennis ball. Moon looks like a claw again. A chunk of time has passed. But humans, nope, that's not enough. It's not a chunk. It's a month. It's not just dawn. It's 6:32 a.m. on a Thursday. And oh boy, we better hurry up and go to school or the office or change the baby, but it gives a wolf about feeding the poor, starving, sad-eyed, grumbly, tumbied dog. Sorry, Bob. Sometimes we're busy, right? Sometimes we forget. After a spell, I got used to the comings and goings of Julia and her mom and dad, but it keeps changing. Julia leaves early for school and is gone for most of the day. She returns home excited and energized, good sense mostly. But every now and then, remember he can smelling. Now and then she comes back smelling a little like me after a visit to the dog trainer, battle weary and ready to crawl under the covers. So that means she's kind of, or maybe she can smell emotions, right, or how people feel. So most of the time she's happy, but sometimes she's sad. Sarah, who was pretty sick for a while, was feeling fine again, thank goodness. But she went back to work and she's away all day too. And George, who has a job at Ivan's place, works 5, sometimes 6 days a week. That means it's just me and the guinea pigs for a lot of the time. I have a doggy door and an outside run. But it's not the same as touring the neighborhood with your person. Peeing without a potential audience is like talking to yourself. Sometimes I'm the teeniest bit jealous of Ivan and Ruby. They always have someone around. Which is crazy, I know. I'm free, and they're not. But there it is. I told you I'm not a saint. Remember a saint? That's like Holy, right? Perfect. Bob said, I'm not perfect. The shelter. I know our route to Ivan and Ruby by heart, and I can't help tugging a bit, even though I'm not supposed to. It's been a couple days since I've seen my pals, and I need my friend fix like I need air and water and belly rubs. We don't live far, down to the end of the street, around a corner. Good news source there. Well, I'm sure there is, right? A news source. Remember, he says he smells pee. That's how he learns things. Then a few more blocks. When I walk Julia, well, okay, I suppose it looks like she's walking me, but I beg to differ. There's a place we pass that always makes me jumpy and bummed. It's the animal shelter. And I know it's a good place, a space for pets and don't have a safe home of their own. When I was abandoned on the highway, just a few weeks old, a nice cage with a soft towel in it and a bowl of fresh water. Well, I would have given anything, just about anything, for that. Still, when I walk by and hear all those desperate barks and meows and squeaks, it gets to me. Sometimes having great hearing is a pain. Think about it, you hear everything, so you hear the good stuff and the bad. Thing is, I realize I have a home and a gang in there that doesn't, and I try not to think about stuff like that, you know? I mean, it's not like I can do anything about their tough breaks, right? And in fairness, maybe those animals aren't like me. I've always been resilient, hard-working sort. Maybe some of those guys even made their own bad luck. Don't get me wrong, I try to be a nice guy. I do what I can to make the world a better place, sure. Chat with the guinea pigs, lick the strawberry jelly off of Julia's hand, do my wagon dance when the rents come home to make 'em feel good. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But it's like I said before, you gotta look out for numero uno. Guess that's why the shelter harshes my mellow. It's just, I'd rather not have to hear those guys every time I walk by. It makes me sad. Reminds me of the bad old days. Julius. I knew this guy back when I hung out at the mall with Ivan and Ruby. Nice dog named Julius. Basic mutt. Maybe some lab and some golden in there somewhere. He'd done some hard time at a couple shelters. One of those dogs you knew had seen more than his share of bad stuff the world can throw your way. One ear bitten off, scars, a limp. Julius lived in the backyard, winter, spring, and summer and fall, chained up mostly, flies in his food, empty water bowl way too often. Still, he always had a nice word to say when I'd pass him on the daily rounds, checking out the neighborhood trash cans. Once I saw his owner again, that word, step onto the back porch. Julius was barking, but he had a good reason. A stranger just passed by. Barking's what we're supposed to do in that circumstance, right? Maybe he's a UPS guy. Maybe he's a serial killer. I mean, come on, we're not the FBI. So anyways, owner came out, big guy, mean looking, gave Julius a hard kick with his boot, yelled, "Shut up, you fool!" and disappeared. Julius looked at me kind of embarrassed. We kept talking. A few minutes later, the owner came out again, put some towels on a line. Julius headed over, tail between his legs, cowering, saying, "I'm sorry, I love you, I'm yours, I'm yours, I'm yours," with his whole dog being. Guy completely ignored him, headed back inside. "He's having a tough time," said Julius when the guy was gone. "He's a jerk," I said, because subtlety is not my strong point. "No, he loves me, he does. He has a funny way of showing it." "Humans," said Julius, licking a sore on his leg. "You know how they can be." "Do I ever? But we gotta stay true. Love 'em. Forgive 'em." I thought about that. Thought about it a lot. "Why, though?" I finally asked. "Why do we have to forgive them?" Julius looked shocked and then confused, as if I just asked why cheese tastes good. It just does. "That's the way it is," he said. "That's the way we do, Bob." I started to reply, but I managed to hold my tongue, which is not easy for me. It's a very long tongue with a mind of its own. There was no point in making Julius feel worse than I already did, than the way he already did. Later that morning, I found half a turkey sandwich. Gave the whole thing to him. Well, okay. I had a taste first, but still. Forgiveness. And that sounds sad too, right? I'm sure you've seen that. Dogs chained up in the backyard, sorry, I had to get a drink. Not really taken care of, or they're out there barking, or they're asking, so it's sad, man. Poor Julius. Forgiveness. So that's something we think about. He said to forgive him, right? You should forgive the humans, because that's what you do. So that made Bob think, well, really, should I forgive him? Made him think. Some more forgiveness. Seems like forgiving humans is one of those doggy things we're all supposed to do, like having zoomies or doing bed boogies. It's written into our canine souls. Well, somehow I didn't get the memo, the one that apparently went out to every other dog on the planet about forgiveness. Why should I forgive the humans who tossed me and my siblings out into the night? When you forgive, you lose your anger. And when you lose your anger, you get weak. And when you're weak, you can get hurt all over again. Ooh, I'm going to write that down. That's a good page right there. So forgiving, man, that's a big thing. The art of human watching. By the time we reach the park, the sky is definitely in a bad mood. Gray clouds galloping like panicked horses. Oh, there's another simile. Imagine those clouds getting crazy. The nervous scent of rain on the way. The kind that makes you antsy in your own skin. When you get near the employee entrance, I hop into Julia's backpack like always. We enter through the special gate where George shows his ID, checks in, and says hi to the staff. Pet dogs aren't allowed at the park, Natch. Foxes, wolves, jackals, my dog cousins, they are. But in my opinion, even though they're technically part of my extended family, they're nothing like dogs. Only dogs have perfected the art of human watching. The smartest thing we ever did was figure out how important the human gaze is. Gaze, right? Looking, staring. So often, when we follow our owner's eyes, we're rewarded with something amazing. A smelly sock, a glazed donut that's fallen on a smelly sock. We follow every blink, every side glance. We see it, whatever it is, before humans do. We understand before they do. And if there's a glazed donut involved, we eat it before they do. Puppy eyes. Ooh, we got 2 more little chapters to go. It's mid-morning, still pretty early. There aren't many visitors around yet. We've got a meeting in 20. I hear George tells a couple workers, Hank and Sonia, who groan. Just a quick one. Going over contingency plans one last time, in case there's any flooding. There's that talk about flooding again. During the last hurricane, a small part of the park flooded, mostly near Reptileville. George helped move the cages. He came home smelling like cottonmouths and copperheads. And it was all I could do not to barf. Ooh, it smelled like snakes. That's scary. Weather Service just issued a tornado watch, Hank says. I thought we were having a hurricane, Julia says. We are, Gus. But sometimes tornadoes are spawned during hurricanes, George explained. Julia frowns. But a watch means maybe, not for sure, right? Yeah, but I want you to head home, George says, just in case. Please, Dad, just 10 minutes, Julia says. She's using that special voice she reserves for moments when she really, really wants something from her parents. I guess kids manipulate their mom and dads the same way dogs manipulate humans. I don't know, George begins. I promised Bob. I figure that's my cue to pop my head out and look adorable, so I do. Hey, Bob, says Hank. Sonia reaches over and scratches my ears. I'm pretty popular around the park. I give George my best puppy eyes, and he caves. 10 minutes, tops, he says. Meet me back here. Puppy eyes. Works every time. You know the puppy eyes. I'm sure you do it to your parents, too. Just like the dogs do. Or to your grandma. Please buy me that. All right, Mr. Oog. Here's how I figured puppy eyes got to start. Cave humans were sitting around the fire, wearing mammoth fur and grunting about how there was nothing on TV because TV hadn't been invented yet. And some willy wolf thought, whoa, they've got leftover mammoth meat. And he probably whimpered and cowered and did a little tummy display and looked pathetic enough that Mr. Oog finally tossed him a bone. And soon as enough, a zillion years later, voila, man's best friend. So picture that. There's a little dog in the corner looking at the caveman. Give me some mammoth meat. Next thing you know, dogs are best friends with cavemen. After all that time, there's the thing, like a magnetic attraction between dogs and humans. We've studied them for so long, we can read every twitch and sigh. Suppose it's easier than chasing down mammoths. And I get it. I do. The behind-the-ear scratch, the food in the fancy bowl, the bed in the fireplace. You gotta admit that Julia's pretty fun to hang out with. And I'm grateful, really I am, that her family took me in. Still, I don't need them. You need someone, eventually though, let you down, and you end up feeling like a real doofus. So Bob definitely has some trust issues, right? Afraid to let people in, afraid to let people trust people, but he's trying, right? All right, that's where we're going to stop today. Hope you enjoyed.